They weren't just ornaments. They were messages. Silent, glittering codes pinned close to a queen's heart. Each brooch she chose spoke of something unseen. Love, loss, loyalty, even defiance. One shimmered for a husband's memory, another for a mother's last goodbye, and sometimes the brightest diamond hid the deepest secret, one the world only learned long after her smile had faded. Courtauld Thomson Scallop-Shell Brooch. There was always something quietly poetic about the Courtauld Thomson Scallop-Shell Brooch, a jewel that shimmered not with grandeur but with memory. For Queen Elizabeth II, it was far more than a diamond ornament. It was a whisper from the past, a symbol of legacy and remembrance. Crafted in 1919, its scallop shell design, set in diamonds and crowned by a single pearl, spoke of purity, resilience, and the eternal rhythm of the sea. Originally created by Sir Courtauld Thomson and passed down through his sister to the Queen Mother in 1944, the brooch carried a secret wish that it should forever be worn by Britain's reigning queens. The Queen Mother treasured it deeply, wearing it for her 100th birthday, and upon her passing, it became one of her daughter's most sentimental pieces. Queen Elizabeth II often chose it for deeply personal moments. The unveiling of her mother's statue in 2009, and again at Zara Phillips' wedding in 2011. To her, the shell was more than design. It was a protective emblem, a silent tribute to maternal strength and continuity. Today, it gleams on Queen Camilla's shoulder, carrying with it 3 generations of royal devotion. And perhaps still, a secret message only a queen can truly understand. The Flower Basket Brooch. The Flower Basket Brooch is one of Queen Elizabeth II's most tenderly cherished jewels, a delicate yet dazzling piece of royal storytelling. Crafted in 1948, its design bursts with vivid gemstones, sapphires, rubies, and emeralds forming a radiant bouquet set in platinum and gold. Each stone was chosen to represent new life and hope, a fitting tribute to the birth of her first child, Prince Charles. Gifted by her parents, King George VI, and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, this brooch was more than a present. It was a symbol of continuity, love, and the blooming of a new royal generation. The Queen, then still Princess Elizabeth, wore it for Charles's first official photograph, anchoring it forever in royal family history. Decades later, she wore it again to Prince George's christening, and during her 2013 Christmas broadcast, framed by portraits of her father and great-grandson. The secret message behind her choice was unmistakable, a quiet celebration of birth, lineage, and the enduring bond between monarch and family. And yet, perhaps the real story behind those jeweled blossoms is one only she ever knew. The Coral Rose Brooch. Among Queen Elizabeth II's floral jewels, the Coral Rose Brooch held a place of quiet sentiment and diplomacy, a jewel with a hidden meaning carved into its very petals. Gifted to Her Majesty in 1990 by the Order of the Liberation, it commemorated a moment of wartime unity. The twin speeches by Churchill and de Gaulle that bound Britain and France together in defiance and hope. Created by Cartier in the 1950s, the brooch is a masterpiece of artistry. 2 coral rosettes carved from single pieces of fiery red coral, each centered with a diamond, resting on purvé-set diamond leaves of white gold, a delicate bloom with a powerful message: resilience, remembrance, and rebirth. When the Queen wore it in Paris in 2004 to mark the Centenary of the Entente Cordiale, it wasn't merely adornment, it was a gesture of history repeating itself. Peace revisited through petals. She wore it again at Windsor's Diamond Jubilee pageant in 2012, as if quietly reminding the world that even the smallest flower can hold the memory of nations. But few knew. This coral bloom wasn't just diplomacy and diamonds. It was a whisper from wartime friendship, frozen forever in gold. Chrysanthemum Sapphire Brooch. The Chrysanthemum Sapphire Brooch is a masterpiece of post-war British elegance. Crafted in platinum and set with delicate diamonds, forming the petals of a chrysanthemum flower, with a soft sapphire gleaming at its heart. It wasn't just ornamental, it was emotional. The brooch entered Princess Elizabeth's life in 1946, a gift marking her first public duty as she christened the oil tanker British Princess. But soon, this jewel would become a silent witness to a love story that defined her reign. She wore it during her honeymoon at Broadlands in 1947, her smile radiant beside a young Prince Philip. Decades later, she chose the same brooch for their 60th anniversary photographs, and again, poignantly, for her 2021 Christmas broadcast, her first without him. To the world, it shimmered in sapphire hues, but to her, it was a token of beginnings, of laughter, of the man who stood beside her for 70 years. And perhaps that's the secret most missed, that the Queen's sapphires didn't just sparkle for the ceremony, they shimmered for memory. The Centenary Rose Brooch. She also wore her jewels as silent messengers of love, and the Centenary Rose Brooch was one of her most personal codes. Commissioned by Queen Elizabeth II in 2000 to mark her mother's 100th birthday, this exquisite piece was created by Collins & Sons. At its heart lies a hand-painted image of the Queen Elizabeth grandiflora rose, a flower bred in honour of her 1953 coronation, delicately encased in rock crystal and encircled by exactly 100 diamonds, each one symbolising a year of her mother's remarkable life. But beyond its craftsmanship, this brooch carried a secret message of remembrance. When the Queen wore it for her 2002 Christmas broadcast, just months after the Queen Mother's passing, it wasn't mere ornamentation, it was a quiet farewell, a coded gesture of eternal love and loss, visible only to those who knew its story. For the public, it shimmered beautifully on her lapel, but for the Queen, it spoke, and perhaps it still does, whispering a memory only she could ever decode. New Zealand Silver Fern Brooch. Among Queen Elizabeth II's most sentimental jewels, the New Zealand Silver Fern Brooch carried a quiet yet powerful secret story of loyalty and remembrance. Gifted in 1953 by the women of Auckland through Lady Alum, it was more than a token of affection. It was a diamond-studded bond between monarch and realm. Crafted in platinum, the fern, New Zealand's national emblem, glitters with 156 brilliants and 24 baguette-cut diamonds, arranged in a perfect 7.3 centimetres sweep of light, echoing the silvery underside of the native Cyathea dealbata leaf. The Queen first wore it in 1954 during her historic post-coronation tour, the first reigning monarch ever to set foot in New Zealand. Each time she donned it thereafter, whether dedicating the New Zealand Memorial in 2006 or appointing Sir Jerry Matapari in 2011, it whispered her enduring connection to the people who welcomed her as their own. Its secret code? A symbol of gratitude stitched in diamonds, reminding the world that the crown's truest shine comes from its Commonwealth. And yet, few realise how this small fern once spoke louder than any royal speech. The Onslow Butterfly Brooch. Among the many treasures in Queen Elizabeth II's collection, the Onslow Butterfly Brooch remained one of the royal brooches she loved to pin, delicate, symbolic, and deeply personal. Gifted to Princess Elizabeth in 1947 by the Dowager Countess of Onslow as a wedding present, the brooch is a masterpiece of royal craftsmanship, its wings shimmering with diamonds and rubies, capturing the fragile grace of a butterfly in flight. For decades, it appeared only on rare occasions, from private audiences at Buckingham Palace to quiet gatherings at Sandringham. But it wasn't until 2021 that the brooch's hidden meaning unfolded. When the Queen recorded her COP26 address, she chose a green dress, the colour of renewal, and pinned the diamond and ruby butterfly close to her heart. Many believed it was more than a nod to nature. It was a whisper to Prince Philip, her lifelong companion who had passed just 6 months earlier. Today the brooch remains unseen in public, resting in royal hands that may one day reveal its story again. Aquamarine Art Deco Brooch. Among Queen Elizabeth II's many sentimental jewels, few gleamed with as much quiet emotion as her Aquamarine Art Deco brooch. She was always joyous to wear it, for it reminded her of her beloved father, King George VI, the man who gifted her the exquisite Boucheron aquamarine and diamond clips for her 18th birthday in 1944. Designed in the bold Art Deco style, the twin brooches shimmer with baguette, oval and round aquamarines, framed in a delicate lattice of diamonds. Sometimes worn as one, sometimes as a pair, Her Majesty used them as subtle storytellers of remembrance and resilience. They appeared at defining moments: her Diamond Jubilee speech in 2012, her VE Day address in 2020, and a meeting with President Obama in 2016, each time symbolising strength, continuity, and the enduring light of duty she inherited from her father. In her final portrait at Windsor Castle, she wore them once more, smiling serenely in blue. Today, the brooches rest with Queen Camilla, yet one wonders, do they still carry the same quiet message of love only a daughter could feel? The Braemar Feather Brooch. Among Queen Elizabeth II's most treasured Scottish jewels, few carried as much quiet symbolism as the Braemar Feather Brooch. Gifted in 2002 by the Braemar Royal Highland Society to mark her Golden Jubilee, it wasn't just a jewel, it was a story carved in metal. Crafted in the graceful form of an eagle's feather, it paid tribute to Scotland's golden eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom she deeply admired. The brooch gleamed with white and yellow gold, silver and platinum, each tone representing the varied landscapes of the Highlands she loved so dearly. The Queen wore it unfailingly to the Braemar Highland Games, from her tweeds in 2005 to her pastel coats in later years, a subtle signal of her enduring bond with Scotland and its people. But the secret story behind it lies in what it represented, her silent message of loyalty to the land that gave her peace away from palace walls. Today the brooch is worn by Queen Camilla, keeping alive a royal tradition born of affection, heritage and quiet power. Yet one can't help but wonder, what unspoken memories still shimmer beneath its golden plume? The Scarab Brooch. Among the many jewels that graced Queen Elizabeth II's collection, few carried as much sentiment and mystery as the Braemar ruby brooch, known within the palace as the Scarab Brooch. It wasn't just a jewel, it was a secret love letter cast in gold. Gifted to the Queen by Prince Philip in 1966, the brooch was designed by avant-garde jeweller Andrew Braemar, featuring a carved central ruby shaped like overlapping petals, encircled by 6 ruby buds and scattered diamonds, all radiating in a sunburst of gold. Its abstract form symbolised rebirth and enduring affection, a quiet message from husband to wife. The Queen first wore it in Bournemouth in 1966, but decades later it re-emerged as one of her most personal emblems. Most poignantly during her 2007 Christmas broadcast, the day before Braemar himself passed away, and again in 2017 for portraits marking her 70th wedding anniversary. After her passing, the brooch's whereabouts remain private, yet many believe it now rests with Queen Camilla, preserving the memory of a love story sealed in rubies and gold. But the real question is, what did the Queen see in that ruby that the world never did? Thank you for watching. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more sparkling stories. Which jewel touched your heart the most and why? Let us know in comments below.